Chill, 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 chill. It's
Yes.
game one of series two between Fnatic, MSI's Phoenix, one of my favorite players to watch and cast, versus Fnatic.Sen, one of my favorite players to practice with in the Brood War days, because not only was he such a nice, calm gentleman, but he was also one of the sickest badasses who you will ever compete against. It was always embarrassing that he would be able to take games, lots of games off me with his Terran and Protoss, despite being a Zerg player. But that's what happens when you're a mastermind from Taiwan.
It's true, and one thing I want to point out almost immediately here in the early game, Sen actually going up to 10 drones, so before making his Overlord. Not a style we're used to seeing, as it's been arguably less economic than the other openings, but I guess that's the way he rolls. No big deal. Now making the Extractor, is he going to drone trick? Yes, this is criggity crazy. One thing I want to point out, people on the internet are geniuses and corrected me. Game 2 going to be Terminus Re. Game 3 going to be Tal'Daram Altar. Of course, I screwed that up.
My God, the internet is so smart. Thank God we have these wonderful, clever observers who calmly, kindly, compassionately let you know that you made a little bit of a mistake, just steer you in the right direction. How wonderful.
So nice.
How lucky we are. We do see Sen droning up to 15. No need to worry about any kind of ultra-fast close spawn. We do see Sen now setting those Overlords. The scout pattern is going to be a touch different because of the fact that, again, there is no risk of the Terran being at the south position. In the meantime, in Fnatic.Fenix's base, we see that he is getting that barracks at his front door. Given that placement, can't really read too much into it now, but I would bet you $1 million still, Chill, that we're going to see a factory and possibly a fast starport out of Phoenix.
Day 9 is so rich, he has millions of dollars to throw away. You heard it here first. We see the SCV going to be scouting the close position by air. Moving in, not going to see anything, so Phoenix going to take that SCV, run over to the only available position left. Meanwhile, we see Sen really delaying his gas here, really wants to drone up. This is a style we've seen some people fool around with, but again, the more comfortable style has often been getting that Zergling speed so you don't die to any sort of early one base shenanigans. We see the Reaper coming out for Phoenix, so he really wants to get in there and make sure he's completely aware of what Sen is up to.
Now, it is always important to be able to identify patterns of the race as opposed to the player. You heard me just give a wild prediction that he would be, in fact, going for a starport and Banshees, because I saw him do it in a game about 2 weeks ago and said 100% chance he's doing it now. However, keep in mind that that is a classic mistake that a lot of players do. Do not do what I just did and say, hey, I bet you he's going to go Banshees. You have to account for all the possibilities of what the opponent could do. Phoenix going for this Reaper, now throwing down the factory. Sen knows that he is going to have to do a lot of calm scouting. And look at this really late Roach Warren Extractor play by Sen. And it looks like the Reaper from Phoenix is going to be able to pop in the main and will do a little bit more damage than usual.
Yeah, going to be targeting out one drone, going to take it out before being driven away by the Queen. Zergling's being recalled to come back in before that Queen injects, and Reaper going to dance around down here, see what's going on at the natural, run into a few Zerglings, and going to do a little bit of kiting on that Queen, but one Reaper versus one Queen, probably not even worth your time, even if you do kill it. Roach Warren about to complete, and let's see what Sen does after this, as he's got a ridiculous economy for early game. I've never seen someone delay their Extractor that late, unless it was me playing them on the ladder and they were just bad. So I'm interested to see how he transitions out of this, if he's going to make a lot of roaches or just using them defensively so that he can continue droning. And looks like my question has been answered, as 4 more drones on the production tab.
I mean, this is, I think, the future of a lot of Zerg Terran styles.
I agree. I agree.
Heavy gas delay, relying more on the Queens. You can even opt to get 4 Queens before you get any gas geyser at all. The little one has been playing around with that on his stream, has been performing brilliantly with it. And it looks like Phoenix is, in fact, getting that relatively fast starport. There's the Tech Lab going down. I mean, really, of all Terran players I've ever seen, Phoenix almost always incorporates those Banshees into his play somehow. But look at this as well, Chill. The Hellion plus Blue Flame upgrade. I don't know how useful that's going to be, because we see Sen is only just now getting the Zergling speed and also a very fast evolution chamber.
Yeah, you know, Phoenix's style looks a little bit passive here. I'm getting worried that he's going to sit back. You know, Sen wasn't even forced to make Zerglings outside of the 4 initial ones for scouting. Not even forced to make Spine Crawlers until now, and we're at the 7-minute mark. So you know, I feel nervous for a Terran player who sits back this long. But we're going to have to see if Phoenix can pull some magic and get back into it. Sen has not taken a third base or anything absolutely insane yet, so it's not like his lead is going to be insurmountable. But you definitely have to give the early economy battle squarely in Sen's favor.
Yeah, I would absolutely give him the star sticker on his forehead in terms of economy. Like, he would get that Boy Scout badge if it were in my troop. And, you know, that's the one thing that does always concern me a little bit in this matchup. You know, Phoenix is amazing at that mid and late game aggression. In general, his early game aggression is amazing. But like you're saying, Chill, in this matchup, especially, Terran needs to be prodding and poking at least a little bit against Zerg. In the meantime, look at Sen's amazing spread at the front with the 2 spine crawlers with those roaches. It looks like he has that evolution chamber done early. Hasn't begun doing too much research with it, but no doubt he's going to be building some spore crawlers because he's been delaying that layer so long. Needs to get the spore crawlers just in case there is cloak coming.
And here come 4 Blue Flame Hellions trying to go to work to run in. Actually, one gets sniped by the roaches. That's a pretty big deal. Meanwhile, 1 roach for Sen was able to fly into the natural and completely scout that there was going to be a Banshee there. Meanwhile, Blue Flame Hellions forced to go back home. Looks like Sen is probably going to be taking his third base pretty shortly here. Let's go ahead and throw the income tab up to look at the harvesters, and wow, that's a bit of a disparity this early in the game. 43 for our Zerg player Sen, 35 for our Terran player.
We do see Banshees and Cloak coming out right now for Sen, or excuse me, for Phoenix. That would be pretty cool if Sen figured out how to get Banshees with his build order. That would definitely be the future of Zerg vs. Terran. We do see more drones popping out right now for Sen. And oh man, look at that spread of Overlords, Chill. Look at that, the top side. Those Banshees from Phoenix just poked in and immediately pulled back out. And there's the third base going down now for Sen.
Yeah, that OV spread is just like a nice blanket around his bed of his main base. You just feel so comfortable having that, just trapping in all your heat. You can see any sort of invaders trying to come in, and we can see Phoenix can't even poke in without being caught. And Sen's larva injections have been so good that he's actually, well, hold that thought as we got a few Banshees and Blue Flame Hellions moving in. And Sen, unfortunately, has nothing that hits air, so he's probably going to lose this hatchery unless he's able to get something out to deal with that. No queens. Queens are on the way, but the creep spread is not far enough. Taking a look at that hatchery, it's down at half health. This is going to be a big deal if he's forced to cancel it. Scan going on, seeing that there are a few queens on the way. 2 queens trying to deal with these Banshees.
And it looks like there's the firing going on, and it looks like Phoenix now cloaking. Oh no, waiting for the queens to get a little bit off the creep, and now going to be able to do some massive damage. There is an Overseer, but it is a little bit too far behind, and the amazing transfuse at the 11th hour keeps the queen in the game.
Wow.
Fnatic.Fenix is getting repelled, but I wanted to note, at the end of this Banshee attack, and will he lose that other Banshee? That would be a gigantic blunder. Chill, I want to point out perhaps the most epic thing of all time. Click on the Tech Lab at the starport. The Caduceus reactor, the plus 25 starting energy for Medivacs upgrade, is being researched, and we do see Phoenix now moving out across the map.
Yeah, a bit of a small force. This is a little bit scary, but not if you have good Terran infantry micro and you want to try to punish your Zerg opponent who's cutting corners. Meanwhile, Hellions moving into the main base, almost completely missed that. Looks like there's a lot of dead carcasses where they used to be. Looks like it was indeed a drop, and this is so nice. This makes a lot more sense. Dropping the Blue Flame Hellions, now moving in with the infantry at the third base, going to completely shut that down, and probably going to hightail it home. He's got the medevac, so he can drop if need be to fly out of there. Looks like he's going to exercise that option, picking up 4 Marines and 2 Marauders, and just get the hell out of there. So 3 hatcheries for Sen. Unfortunately, the third one is a macro hatchery. Not going to be able to get any minerals out of that. Meanwhile, Spire going up for Sen. Supplies, 98 for Sen, 99 for Phoenix.
Wow, Phoenix as baller as he can be without hitting the 3-digit zone, and there he does, just cross that threshold, now getting his 3rd Expo Command Center started, a 2nd factory going down, and this is the Phoenix that everyone loves watching play. I mean, the drops with the Blue Flame Hellions, the Banshee harass, now doing those early little pushes, and after a really long time, we're just now hitting the 13-minute mark, now he finally has that Terran look of 4 barracks and 2 factories, and man, Phoenix is just not stopping with the aggression. We were so worried at the start of the game, Chill, but you know what? He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, got a few Lings and Bane-lings moving forward. Changeling just running by the army. See you later, guys. Looks like this is largely Marines, only Marines, or excuse me, there's 2 Marauders in there as well. And he's going to put a scan, see if he wants to test those waters. Probably does not. Meanwhile, there's a drop at the northern side, sitting at the top right main. So Fnatic has that kind of 1-2 punch, jab in one direction and hit him hard in the other direction. Completely available to him. Sen is equal to the task. He's got a bunch of Zerglings in his main base. Meanwhile, Spire has completed production tab showing only upgrades, no real units being made for Sen. But that's no problem because throwing up the income tab, he has 64 harvesters and a pretty good income, but you know, Fnatic is actually taking a 3rd base as well.
And there's another scan at the South expansion, and of all Terran players out there, Fnatic tends to favor the scan instead of those mules. That means he generally has a little bit worse of an economy when compared to other Terran players. But because he's so economy, whatever it is, he has a lot less things getting money than other Terran players. But at the same time, because he's so aggressive, he can end up poking and prodding and do economic damage back. And that's exactly what we've seen in this game thus far.
So Sen has really been focusing on those larva injections, hasn't been dropping creep tumors, and now the time is now. We can see the creep spread starting to flow in all directions out of the main base. We can see the OV blanket beginning to spread around as Sen has that Overlord speed spreading it to the top, as well as the western side. Medevac going into the main base. What does Sen has left there? Nothing. He's trying to do some harassment with his Mutalisk, but meanwhile in the main base, some Zerglings coming back to try to deal with that drop. Looks like Fnatic is not watching or just does not care. Meanwhile, he's moving his army down to the southwest. Looks like he's going to load into that Medevac, and that has opened the door for him to push down the west side. He's got the siege tanks set up, wants to be safer, does not want to do kind of a rush in and finish it. He's going to set up his position here with these siege tanks to control space and to isolate that 4th base that Sen likely wants to take.
The one thing to note, though, look at the upgrades right now. We do see that Sen is at 2-1 upgrades, 2 attack, 1 armor, whereas Fnatic is only at 1-0. He is starting the tank upgrade, getting a lot of other things, even getting a 2nd Raven. Looks like he does want to not only detect those creep tumors, but also get those auto turrets for a little bit of extra support against those Bane-lings. Fnatic now looks like he's trying to gear up to get his own center expansion, but look at this. Sen moving across the left side of the map with a lot of Mutalisks.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to begin that Mutaswarm harassment, which is so popular. Gonna move in and take out 1 turret. Gonna take out 2 turrets almost instantly. He has a +1 attack on those Muta Glaive Worms, and now he's gonna go for the really vulnerable add-ons, taking out the Tech Labs. Probably gonna move on to the reactors. And Fnatic having not much of an answer for this. He's forced to run his Marines all the way back into the main base. Let's see if he begins to make a Thor. Looks like he can't because he's supply block. Medevac gonna get sniped by Sen. Very nice. Now he's gonna move back. You know, just causing a lot of problems for Fnatic. Meanwhile, Fnatic lifting up his command center and begins to fly that over to the gold base. And Sen responds by taking not 1 but 2 expansions and spreading the creep everywhere. This is an old-fashioned macro game. This is getting wild, Day.
Oh my gosh, select Sen's units and just hold that V button. Look at the vision coverage that Sen has. He can see everything that is going on all over that map. The Mutalisk in the center, now picking off those turrets. Fnatic trying to run up and do a little bit of damage, but considering the fact that he does have those 2 Ravens out, I don't think it would be unwise to get that Seeker missile upgrade. Yes. We see a reactor going down on another starport, so it looks like a couple more Vikings will be en route, but we do see Sen trying to squeeze in with those Mutalisks and moving to the top side with a lot of Bane-lings.
Yeah, it looks like Fnatic made a bit of a mistake not having a tank that covers the eastern side as well as the western side. Muta's flying in, taking a bit of damage from the Marines. You do not want to be doing that, but looks like Sen has one thing on his mind, and that is crashing the planetary fortress. Here we go with the Zerglings moving right in. Gonna work on the, no, okay, there he goes. Damn, and there used to be a base there, I swear.
But that's fine, because you know what? It looks like it was just Marine bait, as we see that Fnatic is losing a lot of those units. Fnatic still having control of that center, does have that sensor tower up, and it looks like, there's the scan from Fnatic to see if those units could possibly take out his own gold, but Fnatic has decided that he is going to go for a counter play.
Yeah, he's really behind in supply here. He's only at 160, meanwhile Sen is max at 200, meanwhile at 2-2 upgrades he has the Hive. Does he have adrenal glands? No, he does not. Pushing forward with the Marines, and Sen has to crush this push, and then he will be able to win the game, but that's easier said than done. Mutalisk trying to harass the tanks, taking out one tank at the back, and just going to try to pick out this army until the time is right. It looks like that time may be now.
There's the run across the creep. The Bane-ling's rolling in. The point defense, so trying to do a little bit of damage, but there is so many units, and the Bane-lings roll up, do massive damage. Only a small Marine Marauder force target firing the hatchery. It doesn't manage to get taken down. And Sen, who just seemed to be on the back foot up against the wall all game long with a giant momentum swing forward, is now evening up the score, and it looks like Fnatic is going to be the one scrambling to stay in the game, building a lot of Thors, a lot of Marines. This game is not quite over yet, and look at this, I love this. The Reactor Starport and the Tech Lab Starport making both Ravens and Medivacs, and Fnatic is now even retaking the top left Expo.
Yeah, Fnatic forced to make Thors, but look at this Mutant Ball coming in and trying to deal with the turrets. Meanwhile, Bane-ling's coming in. Is he going to right-click on that Planetary? Looks like he's just going to run around trying to take out the Marines. Planetary Fortress does get taken out. Thor trying to deal with the Mutas, but a lot of Mutas still remain. Looks like there's about 16 Mutas left in that ball. Thor's forced to concede to take out the Overlords. And look at this. The Mutalisk able to deal with the Planetary Fortress, taking it out. Fnatic pulling all his SCVs to repair that missile turret, but he's running out of places to get minerals from. Marines taken out by the Mutalisk. Sen taking a commanding lead in the late game of this game number 1.
Oh, Fnatic just target repairing his Planetary Fortress. We hear Marines stimming a Thor's trying to run up there. The glaive bounce of Sen's Mutalisk dealing damage to those repairing SCVs. And in the midst of all this defense going on at the top left, look at that rally point for Sen in the middle of the map. 3 Banelings there, no doubt plenty more to come. So many Zerglings out there. We even see the +3 attack for both melee and air units getting researched. And in the meantime, those Mutalisks still doing harassment damage to Fnatic.
I mean, at this point, what can Fnatic do? Because Sen is just going to harass with these Mutalisks. Fnatic is going to be pulled in one direction and then in the other, and when he makes just the wrong step at the wrong time, all those Zerg units are going to come crashing into his one vulnerable position. Just the most terrible position to be in as a Terran player. We see the 2 Thors coming in to drive away the Mutalisk. Mutalisk working on the refinery yet again, and the wheels are just coming off so quickly for Fnatic. He's being systematically pulled away by Sen.
Gosh, I mean, Fnatic needs to research that Thor speed upgrade. Ha ha ha. He is going to have a hard time defending all these bases, Chill.
Yeah, I was just checking my note. I'm checking the tech hub. There's a Thor speed upgrade? What?
Yeah, that's a Thor speed upgrade? Oh, if only. Only in Terran's wildest dreams. Thor's amazingly good against those Mutalisks, but really only good for protecting a tight cluster of structures. We also see, looks like the Thor Marine tank force is moving forward. But look at the number of Banelings getting more Chill. Oh my gosh, that's so many Banelings.
33 Banelings in production, going to be able to move forward and probably deal with this very nicely. You know, the consequence of switching to Thors is that Fnatic doesn't have the benefit of having very many tanks now. By very many, I mean plural. He only has 1. And the tanks are really what help you deal with those Banelings. The Speed Banes are going to be able to move right in. Looks like Sen is going to completely not do that and just drive straight into the Thors. Not the best thing he could have done with all those Banelings. Muta's coming to clean up, but forced to run away, but it doesn't even matter to Sen. That was a bit of a blunder. You know, he dropped about 60 or 70 supply just in Banelings and Mutas there, running these Speedlings into the main base, going to start taking out the reactors. And, you know, if you're Fnatic, that's the one thing you wanted to see. Supply showing 140 for Fnatic, and, well, like 200%.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Right in the middle of that battle, there were about 50 Zerglings getting produced, and look at Sen gearing up all by that watchtower, and it looks like there's not that much in the center. It looks like Fnatic trying to resiege some tanks. A lot of Banelings rolling in. It looks like they're trying to squeeze around, and oh my god, Banelings just murdering those forces. And oh my gosh, it sucks to be anything in the middle of the map. The Bane-ling count was so high. The Thors, the SCVs, the command center all get taken out. Fnatic immediately re-expands. He knows he needs those gold resources, but there are so many Mutalisks still in the center of the map with that +3 upgrade. 56 Banelings getting morphed right now for Sen. He is in an incredibly comfortable position, and now Fnatic is beginning to push forward, but he knows he needs to be careful. He cannot encroach into that creep too far because of the speed, and oh my god, Chill, look at that Bane-ling count. Oh, just demolishing everything.
But it's okay, there's a point defense drone. Looks like Phoenix is going to be forced to tap out of game number 1 as the Zerg army has just become too massive, cleaning up all the drops, having complete map control. Once Phoenix loses position on the center of the map, he's going to lose position on game number 1.
Phoenix trying to siege up, trying to do the best that he can to hang in there. But Sen, who had the momentum swing forward, never gave it up. Tanks doing massive damage to the Bane-ling, but there's just too many. And there is the good game. Sen manages to take down game number 1.
Damn, and looking up the upgrades just as the game finishes, 3 Zerg Carapace, 3 Zerg melee attack, and 3 Zerg flyer attack. Sen showing that style where you just stay crouched, building drones, build your economy up, and if you're not punished for that, you just go into the mid game with such an advantage. Phoenix showing a little bit of creativity, dropping at one point, attacking in the other point, pulling Sen in multiple directions, trying to find any hole, but Sen just dealt with it, parried a little bit, and then came into the mid game, you know, just geared right up and steamed straight through Phoenix in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an astounding performance by Sen in that game. But, you know, at the same time, that really shows you both how strong but also fragile Phoenix's style was. Sen was looking quite good at the start of the game. In fact, way better than your average Zerg. But then he was looking a little bit, you know, a little shoddy there with the drops, with the harassment, with the Banshees, with all the counterattacks. It looked like Phoenix was starting to get more momentum, getting all those structures up, beginning to get upgrades, and Sen was defending. And if Phoenix had applied a little bit more pressure perhaps earlier on, or had a more targeted attack in the mid-early game sometime, then I do think the Phoenix would have been able to take the win. But it was like that threshold time was crossed, and Sen just had too much economy and just crushed Phoenix. I mean, that was like a 10-minute long downward rapid spiral for Phoenix. Once Sen just had all those bases, no matter what was thrown, there was always 100 more Zerglings in production.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it's the kind of game where after Phoenix watched the replay, he was completely aware of what the issue was. He just sat back a little bit too much in the early game. His harassment was, you know, his build order was not focused. I'm going to do this early harassment timing, and that's really what it needed to be looking back in retrospect. Yes, he did get the Blue Flame Hellions out, but at that point, Sen had already been very comfortable with his gasless opening. Had that been a build straight for Blue Hellion drop, or even Blue Flame into Reactored Hellions, that could have punished Sen in game number 1. But that being said, Sen taking down the Zerg vs. Terran against his clanmate Phoenix in game number 1. Game number 2, we're going to move over to Terminus Re, which I believe may favor Phoenix a little bit here, as there's 3 easy bases for both Terran and Zerg to take. But the key thing is it's very simple for Terran to apply some early pressure on this map, take his third base, and then barracks wall off the front door, eliminating all kinds of harassment options that Zerg likes to have.
Absolutely. So whatever you do, do not move. If you're thirsty, stay in your seat, because right after this, we're going directly into Game 2 on Terminus RE between Fnatic MSI's Sen, currently up 1-0 against Fnatic MSI's Phoenix.